Help protect us from racism and xenophobia by becoming an I Love Black People ambassador today. Join on iloveblackpeople.com. No matter where you are in the world, join us today and get access to the I Love Black People network. Special thanks to Banneker Communities.
Greetings and welcome to another amazing edition of I Love Black People. And thank you so much for being a part of this amazing journey. And we appreciate everyone's efforts, support. One of the things that I let people know that so much of what we cover and discuss is really inspired by our members and folks who've, shown so much of their interest in our work and creating a global safety net to protect our people from racism and Afrophobia. And to be able to have these conversations about the things that we're facing and how amazing we are at addressing these issues as a people, 1.5 billion people of African descent. I think this show wanted to make sure we always, as much as possible, update you on our current activities. As you know, I'm a co-founder of I Love Black People, which is a tech startup. Sometimes we get confused as a nonprofit or NGO. We're a tech startup. We're just like all the big startups you've ever heard about, but our focus is literally solving a problem that's not been solved probably for over 500 years. And that's literally how to make sure we keep our people protected from racism and Afrophobia. And I say protected because the work we're doing is not ending racism. And again, that's something that exists in the hearts and minds of men. I'm sure there's some women too, but men have been shown to be the most biggest offenders, and women and their husbands, their wives probably do join them. But that being said, if deliberate things are being done to hurt a group of people, we need to do deliberate things to protect our people. So we see this as not just a tech startup in the sense that we're here to solve a problem, but we definitely believe that as a community, we're worth being protected. And we're using a methodology that was developed early in the 1930s by a gentleman by the name of Victor Green. And he utilized and came up with something called the Green Book. And in this Green Book, he identified in the areas of transportation, places to eat, places to sleep. He crowdsourced. And this is before the word was used. And so, in our community, we've been crowdsourcing for a while, but he would crowdsource places that were Black friendly throughout the United States, so that when our people were traveling, they would be protected from sundown towns and what they call Jim Crow, or we call it American apartheid. That this book literally helped our people be protected from that, and it was done so by people submitting their recommendations of these Black friendly places. And it lasted until about the 1960s. He passed away in 1960, and then his wife contributed. His wife contributed, and later on to continue the work that he was doing. So in a real way, he was the one who continued this journey through his wife. That being said, it is important to understand and appreciate that we still need to make sure our communities are protected. And the I Love Black People Safe Places app, and you can find it on your iOS, Apple apps, or you can Google Play, download it, and you can use this to recommend those Black friendly places that you already go. Um, and also, we have some features on there, including you can refer your friends, and we have rewards for referring your friends, and you can win a T-shirt and all these things that people love. I Love Black People branding, and we definitely appreciate y'all rocking your I Love Black People gear. And the focus is literally for the first time in history to create this global safety net. And we've been working on this process for now quite some time, like literally building and building the foundation to create and develop this app. And I'd say, with your help, we're going to be able to get it launched in our latest version by September 30th. That's our goal, that's an internal goal, an external goal that we share with our friends and family. That by the end of September, by the end of this third quarter, we want to make sure that we've done something that's never been done in the history of the planet with your support. So we're going to need as many of our listeners that haven't, if you haven't already, make sure you download the I Love Black People app. You go to the, again, Apple App Store or the Google Play. And what's key, we're focusing on the DMV area. We think, uh, of course, this is global, but we think it's very important to make sure we also get the DC DMV area with all the politics that you hear going on, all the attacks on freedoms and rights. One of the key areas that we have as a part of the uh, I Love Black People um, app, unlike the original Green Book, where it focused just on places to eat, sleep, and transportation, we also have legal. And I tell people, if you're being fired illegally, if you're being treated as an illegal human being, make sure that the people that are helping you legally are added to the I Love Black People Safe Places app. Because again, legal is a key area of people activity that we're literally building this global safety net with. So healthcare is another key area that we need to make sure that our people aren't being harmed or killed while seeking medical care. That was a big issue during COVID. It still is. Serena Williams was almost killed in the hospital, and she's wealthy and she's very athletic, famous, even married to a white man, and she still almost was killed giving birth, something that women have been doing since time memorial. So we want to make sure that we're doing the right thing and identifying those places that treat us with dignity and respect. And let me even say that, like again, so often, especially in this social media landscape, we focus on so much negativity. But there are people who are doing the right thing the right way, and it is up to us to elevate that because it's so easy to elevate the negativity. But those people who are working hard to be fair and just and to create safe spaces for everyone that comes in, those things need to be supported with our dollars, with our time, with our words, with our tongue. These are things that we can do and we say it's a positive thing. And that's one of the things about the app. It's focused on the people doing it right. Now, there's other ways that you can focus on the people who are doing it wrong, but we sometimes I think, and this is maybe this as a co-founder, we over-index in the people who are not doing it right and not giving the attention and time to those who are doing it right and see how we can build with them. And that's why we've also included, like, we have a chat part of our app where literally, like, you could be on WhatsApp or any of these other social media apps communicating with other, Pan-Africanists, other people who care about protecting our communities from racism and Afrophobia about key areas in our community. So we have the healthcare, as I mentioned, the legal, the three that the original Green Book had, that was transportation, places to eat, places to sleep. But we also have finance, beauty, and education. And education is key, especially with these young babies. We really want to make sure we're doing a good job at identifying, primary care, I mean, primary schools, as well as preschools and childcare. Like those areas, because, when the child is that young, they don't have agency. We don't want our children to be harmed or humiliated with images, with things that are with curriculums that harm them. We want to identify those schools that are treating our children the best of the best of the best. And one of the ways we can do that is by reaching out to our members and getting them to recommend the best of the best in making sure our children are safe. So that being said, it's very important that each one of these categories are really based on areas that are key, that if you get them wrong, the consequences are very damaging. Let me say it another way. If you have a person who's, let's say, your cable person installing cable, if they're racist, there could be problems with your cable installation being having a racist person. But the consequences are not going to be life or death or threatening in a way that can harm you really permanently. They might be late, you know. I don't want them to overcharge you, but there's a couple of the workmanship may not be as quality as I've heard racist people. Our workmanship is always bad anyway. But that being said, That's different than having a doctor that's racist or a lawyer. So there's levels. I've had people, well, how about my cell phone? I want my cell. Well, you the store you go to get your cell phone is racist. That's a problem, but it's not the same thing as going to some place to close your eyes at night and something bad happened to you. You don't want that. So again, eyes closed or being sick or being in trouble with the law, these are critical areas that you want to make sure, even food. You don't want some place can have the best hamburgers in the world, but they're racist. So that treatment you're going to get in there is going to be very problematic. So we're very clear that we need to make sure that the conversations, the content, or the context of what we're doing is based on making sure we're treated well, and we're leveraging the brains of all our friends and family all over the world so that we can have this launch in effect September 30th. Like that's our launch date with your support. And we have members all over the world, and we want to make sure that these members are actively engaged throughout the world. Like so, literally, we've got members in based in Africa, and I just got back from Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, and we got great members there. Had a great meetup discussing again. Julius Nyerere was the president during liberation, during independence, and he had a program called Ujama. Again, I try to learn my Swahili through Kwanzaa, but Ujamaa is like a unity thing, or is it something unity working together? And I think it's Ujamaa. Ooh, I'm gonna mess that up. But that being said, that philosophy was more built on a socialist philosophy than a capitalist philosophy, where people work together not because of the value that they offered, but the value they offer the actual community itself. So Ujamaa, if you ever check that out of Dar es Salaam, and then met with some of our team in Zimbabwe. You know, our offices are there. We're based in Zimbabwe. We just opened up a tech hub where people can come and do their work, use our Wi-Fi. They can charge their phone, use our computers. You know, we want to make sure everything we're doing is in some way helping our people reach their full potential, the best of the best of the best. And the opportunities are not there, but the excellence is actually there. Our people are super excellent, and what we want to make sure we do is give those resources and tools that are necessary for our people to be who they truly can be, in spite of all the obstacles that might come their way. So we have that, and we have Sister Agatha's doing a great job in there. And with the Tech Hub, we're now helping tech founders. So if you know any great tech founders, let them know. We're right now supporting a sister with a solar uh, tech uh, uh, company, and we're going to be helping with the issue they call in Zimbabwe and many parts of Africa. They got a thing called load shedding, where because of the demand of power, they ended up really cutting off power to some areas so other places can get power, and that load shedding disrupts people's lives. Well, that's connected to the main electric grid. With solar and the solar projects that we're supporting, they get a inverter, a battery, and the panels in order to make sure as it acts as a backup or a replacement for the electric grid. And so these are the ways that we think using technology, that it's got to be relevant to our people. So much of the tech that I've seen in Africa is about extraction. It's almost like tech colonialism. Even, you know, as many of you know, I've been active in the Bitcoin space, cryptocurrency. A lot of that, they call it crypto colonialism, where you have the same guy who does the chat GPT, I forget the guy's name, but he had a coin in Kenya, and he was basically taking people's cornea, the DNA information. They were scanning their cornea, taking that data, and for taking that data, they would give them one of their made up tokens. And we have the Bitcoin, the Black Blockchain Summit coming up at Howard University, and we want to talk more about scams in that tech space. But again, we got to always be vigilant. There's technology, as much as being a tech startup and building this global safety net. The real power behind our technology is not the GPS or the databases that we're using. It's really the Pan African unity. It's really us. It's the people who are willing to share information about places which total strangers, people they don't know, in order to help them. And that's the superpower. At the end of the day, it's always been us. It's not something outside of us, it's something in us. And being able to connect with our communities is the best way to do it, I think. And I think that being said, we can hold those people who use technology or any other tools to make sure they don't harm or humiliate our communities. And then we definitely did South Africa, had a great time in Johannesburg. Definitely been exploring different projects in South Africa and just haven't pulled the trigger, but think there's some opportunities. As you know, we have a property there that's been super interesting. I think one of the things I've done that's been interesting is just in real estate abroad and looking at opportunities, leveraging Airbnbs. As you know, we have a Villa Bethany, our first property in the Dominican Republic, where we rent that out, and that's been something that's been a joy just to be able to participate and engage the people we have outside of the United States. So much of the work that we're talking about with I Love Black People is global, and again, even if our people don't know they're African, like you go to Dominican Republic, or even Haiti or some of these, Haiti's a little better, but there's oftentimes people who've never been to Africa will not know that they're African. You know, we've been to Peru with my wife, and we literally met. And I mean, black people, and it's of course this is in Peru. They speak Spanish, but again, the African diaspora is global. You know, we've been traveling well before colonialism, so you can see people that look like us that are African people all over the world, even if they're calling themselves Melanesians, which again, I'm sure they didn't call themselves that. That's probably a colonizer name, a colonial name. But we have literally people all over the world, the Fijis and different places. And these are opportunities for us to share the good news, or to be treated with the dignity and respect that God is giving us. So with this app, when you go to these different places, just share the places that have been doing great by you, who treated you well. You know, sometimes you go to places again in Africa or outside of Africa where people are disrespectful, and we can call it tribalism, ethnocentrism. There's a things that oftentimes people will treat other people, even if they're black, in a negative way because of their perception of themselves or others. So again, this app is about making sure no matter who they are, that they treat us well. We say racism and Afrophobia. Afrophobia is, as we define it, is the irrational fear or hatred of people perceived to be of African descent. And when you have people who are of African descent, these are things that are key that you want to make sure. So we got to make sure that we're able to give ourselves what's necessary to do the things that we need to make our community safe, no matter what the folks who are doing the things to them. So the irrational fear, hatred of people perceived to be of African descent. And many people don't know that they're not of African descent. So we don't get into arguments with that. You know, some people, again, call themselves all kind of things. And you can see on social media and other places where people will really get into, no, you're African, no, I'm black, no, I'm indigenous, all kind of things. And I think with sometimes people ridicule that or take a side and try to vilify another side. But I think the truth of our journey is a lot of trauma in it. There's a lot of what we've been through has been hurtful and harmful. So things like identity can be very triggering. And instead of like getting into that to the point where you're trying to argue, if someone says, call me this is what they get called. You say, call you Akabulan Patriot, I'm calling you Akabulan Patriot. If you tell me to call you a Choctaw, I'm going to call you a Choctaw. I don't have no problem with people self identifying and saying, this is how you're going to call me. And I think it's just respectful. And I think one of the things with how we interact with each other, especially in the so-called conscious movements of black movements I've been a part of in my life is that, some people call you conscious, or well, they're saying that this person is unconscious. Well, if you tell a grown adult person that they're sleeping or unconscious, that's offensive personally. And there's no reason, if you're really trying to help somebody, to offend them or to make fun of them. Like, I think that's the antithesis. When we talk about friends, and I talk about, y'all know I'm in a fraternity, Kappa Alpha Psi, and and there's a lot of Kappas they ain't friends of mine that are problematic, like a lot of these organizations. But what I say is that friends act friendly. If you got friends, they should act friendly. If these people are calling you names or doing things behind your back, those are friends. So if you're saying that you care about our peoples, ridiculing them, calling them names is a problem. Now, again, I'm not saying I let people disrespect me in my face or behind my back. I'm just saying if we're trying to improve the quality of life or interaction, it definitely on the principle of being doing no harm and being kind. I think that should be the leading part. It costs nothing to wish somebody well. I wish you well, brother, sister. It costs nothing to do that. So to not offer that and talk about loving and supporting, it can be a contradiction. So I think when we have these conversations about identity, origin, it still should come in the context that we're all here right now, and how are we going to interact in this space in a way that's productive? Is spending time, you to explain to me why you want to identify, is that a good use of time? Sure. If that's on your heart and you're like doing a testimony, that can be fine. But to argue with somebody about it probably doesn't make sense. Or even anything on social media, I tell people, you don't even know if those are real people. I mean, to be arguing with bots and avatars, it's probably not a good use of life. There's probably real people in your life that deserve your time and energy that would be better spent if you spent it with them instead of spending that time trying to convince a bot that you're right and they're wrong. Like, that's not even a good use of time. And you'll see that there's so many bots that are now on social media, be it X or any of these other places, that spending time. I'm one of those quick block and delete, like whatever it takes. My energy and space is not going to be occupied by bots and negativity. And I do my best. And again, I know that sometimes I've succumbed to the temptation. I try to keep it, positive. I've been known to cuss some people out, and I definitely apologize to everybody that I have. I apologize profusely. Even in disagreement, we don't have to be disagreeable, and we should be able to identify wrongdoing in a way that's elevating. And we're all a work in I'm number one work in progress. And with that being said, we want to make sure everybody gets a chance to download the app. I love Black people. We're focusing on all our places, all the key categories we have, the 8 key categories. We need to make sure we have folks in every major city that our people are in. Make sure they identify healthcare, education slash childcare, places to eat, places to sleep, transportation, finance, legal, and beauty. We need your help. Make sure you participate. This has never been done in the history of the planet, though. We've never had a global safety net to make sure that our people can be fearless anywhere they go, and knowing that there's places, and these are physical locations. This is another thing. It's very clear. These are physical locations. We need physical places where our people can go and know that they're safe. And when it comes to healthcare or legal, these things are key, because these are key areas of people activity. Education, these are key areas. And with the chat groups that we have, it allows you to have conversations. And we're working with Dr. Wright. She's our resident scholar and super like Pan Africanist. She's done so much in this space. Of course, she's a Tuskegee alum, so I'm kind of partial to Tuskegee, TU, and of course Howard University too, HU. So that we are very clear that we want to make sure we have conversations in these chat groups that are conducive and helpful to all our members when they're engaged. And she's going to be coming on in the different categories and sharing information that will be helpful with the journey that our people are taking and helping us create the first literally global safety net to protect our people all over the world. And we're very um, we're very thankful that Dr. Wright's support and all the work she's done to continue with our Saturday classes. If you haven't joined us for our Saturday classes, they're 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with Dr. Wright. And we have literally our members come in and they literally are speakers on some of the greatest topics that you can imagine that face our community. Shout out again to Agatha for her work and making that possible. And then we also, if you haven't had a chance, make sure you grab our Global Green Book. I think it's our 5th edition, and you can go on Amazon. Make sure you grab the Global uh, Green Book. And shout out to Sister Anana Akua for being always so helpful and supportive, fellow HU alum who's dedicated so much time to help us on our journey here at I Love Black People. And her work is forever appreciated, and we're thankful for her. And then also, if you can, you got time, we're going to be talking more as we get closer to the Black Blockchain Summit at Howard University on the 26th and 27th of September. And get your tickets. This is something where I think it's so important to be encouraged that we have all the tools that we need. And we're building a new one called I Love Black People, Safe Places. There's another new tool that you're going to have. We can be successful. And with this the encouragement and the wisdom of our ancestors and of our one God. And I'd just like to say, as I always leave you, I am because we are. Thank you so much for joining us.
Help protect us from racism and xenophobia by becoming an I Love Black People ambassador today. Join on iloveblackpeople.com. No matter where you are in the world, join us today and get access to the I Love Black People network. Special thanks to Banneker Communities.